Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a viewer replay courtesy of TJCAT here in the Lorraine 40T. This is literally the first Lorry replay I've had on the channel in all the years I've been doing the channel. Not for any particular reason. I mean, it's not one that gets sent to me very often. It's not particularly a popular tank, even after the various buffs it's had over the years. But somehow I've just never picked one out, and this one was in my inbox, and it's a pretty good game, so I thought, you know what, let's. Because this is actually quite possibly going to get replaced with something that looks kind of like a TJCAT prototype, basically. So yeah, the Lorry might be on its way out. I'm not exactly 100% sure if that is going to happen, in fact. It's not set in stone, but there have been some renders that have popped up of the possible replacement of this thing. So what you've got is kind of a medium tank version of the 5100, kind of. Now, it does have a pretty decent gun. It's got that nice auto loader, but actually a lot like the 5100, you basically find yourself trading health to do damage, and because you're in a medium tank, you've got less of that health to actually trade. And while the 5100 is very much capable of, if you get the drop on somebody, you can basically clip same tier heavy unless you get horrendously unlucky with shells bouncing or low damage rolls or whatever. But that becomes a bit less possible when you're at tier 9. You can possibly still clip a same tier medium, but it then becomes more powerful against the lower tiers, sure, but when you're top tier you don't have maybe quite the advantage you have in a 5100. But apart from that, I mean, it's still got its fans. I think it's just seen as an awkward tank and a kind of necessary step to getting the somewhat legendary TJCAT. I think it's also fair to say that the other now tier 9 French medium is probably the better all-rounder, because not everybody gets on with autoloaders generally, and the AMX-30 first prototype is generally considered to be a pretty decent tier 9 medium. So you, even though that is the much newer tank, see a lot more of those around on the battlefield than you do the Lorraine. So he's got himself up the hill, and despite that possible nasty moment he could have had with the T49, derp guns love these tanks. It was fine, he got away with it. He did take one hit from the Leo getting up here, but he's managed to now get up here, and although this is somewhat awkward, he has managed to get some shots into the tanks pushing around the flank of the hill. His team are not being especially proactive. They've been already, the enemy team are pushing around basically. His team are not really on the, they're not taking the initiative here, but this has meant he can get some nice shots, so it's worked out for him. He's already racked up over 2,000 damage. But generally speaking, looking at the minimap, it's not looking that great at the moment, just with the way his team is on this high ground area, kind of pressed in a bit. They do, however, around the little hill to the west, they've got control of that at least. So the 50B and the TVP over there can at least put some pressure on. However, if you're paying attention to the minimap, you'll just see that T54 is waltzed in the middle of them. Meanwhile, TJCAT's clip has come back up, but it's slightly awkward going. Once upon a time, what he's doing would not have been possible. One of the buffs it had, I think it was a while ago now actually, was to its gun depression. And that made it a bit less awkward to play, but I still don't think it's particularly great gun depression. So he's having to slide down really quite far, and he's basically giving up the high ground to do damage. And this means that, well, we can hopefully help knock out this T57 heavy, although, whoa, this is a little bit hairy. But he can't now then get back up the hill and, oh, that's a bit unfortunate, then have that sniper's perch to work with. So he's gotten 2 kills out of it. He's done a bunch more damage, over 1,000 more damage, but he's also lost a big chunk of health in the process, because that very low health pattern decided to pop up, and although it was rather suicidal for the pattern, he's also taken off, he took off a big chunk of the remaining health from TJCAT, so he doesn't have a lot of hit points to work with now. And this is what I mean when I say the French autoloaders often find themselves, because they don't have that armour, trading health to do damage. And maybe this is why the Lorraine has this reputation of, you know, the players you see in them don't seem to survive very long in a lot of cases. And, oh, hello, there's the M103. Because if you're incautious in a Lorraine, or you just get unlucky, you find an... Oh, ow! That's unfortunate. That was a slightly low roll, though, I think. Is it 440 on that gun? I can't remember. But, yeah, they have this reputation. Drivers of the Lorraine have this reputation because it's very easy to die in a Lorraine. Mistakes get punished hard. And, you know, even having said all this, there are still fans of this tank. There are still people that like the Lorraine. And I don't know, TJCAT might be one of them. I personally know at least one person that will be sad to see the Lorraine go. But there probably aren't that many overall. Anyway, they've actually brought it back. They have entirely secured this high ground, and on cliff, this is the key to winning cliff, generally speaking, is you win the upper ground, and at that point you have a big advantage over anyone that's trying to defend either cap area. And as you can see, yeah, that's a Type 4 heavy down here, down there. So rather than try and go for his front armor and have to reload a clip of premium ammo, he instead goes for the much squashier T30, and there we go, gets that kill. The Torty he doesn't have any kind of a view on. The Type 4, however, at this stage has given him side, in fact that looks like rear armor. So, although he's just been spotted, there we go, gets his final shot off. And all he can do now is just reload, and hope that he does reload in time to get a final bit of damage. So the Torty's gone down, there's just the Type 4 Heavy and the artillery left, and although he is hanging on by the skin of his teeth, he's done a pretty respectable amount of damage, but he's had to work for it. Maybe this is one of the core reasons why this is not a popular tank. You really have to work to do the damage. There's no easy ride with this. It is not a T-54. You're not going to get away with things that you would get away with in other medium tanks. And I think that also holds true for the French heavies as well. You have to have a particular mindset. You have to accept that you are going to take a lot of damage, and that sometimes it's all going to go horribly wrong. But in this case, he was able to hang on by the skin of his teeth, 41 hit points left, and that was enough damage and enough XP for an ace tanker. Now, unusually for an ace tanker game, he didn't get any major awards. He had some of the more minor ribbons. He actually had a nice string of them there, including, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one for surviving when you've taken a lot of hits, basically. Hand of God or something. But, yeah, over 5,000 damage done, definitely the top of his team. Most of his shots went where he wanted them to and penned, because it's a nice gun at the end of the day. It's just the tank it's attached to that people have a problem with. And for just under 7.5 minutes, that was not a bad job at all, considering it was a tier 10 game. So yeah, that was a pretty nice match, and I think a pretty good first showing for the Lorraine on my channel. Maybe I'll get around to doing another one before they make the change, if and when they make that change. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, a lot of it depends on getting sent those Lorraine replays, but sometimes when I put these up, you'll get a spate of replays of that same tank that follow immediately afterwards, so who knows, at some point another one might appear. So hopefully you've enjoyed this replay, and if you have, you can leave any comments below. You can hit that like button, you can sub to my channel if you want already, and as always, stay tuned for more.